Hello and welcome everybody. I'm trying to get the various live streams on, and then we can watch Merián Soto, Elaine in the air, and me. Merián, if you're near somewhere, I know that you're in Cambodia right now, but if you're anywhere near, I hope that you can hear this, see this, and if we can, I will also try to get you on to Instagram, and let's try if we can actually have you go live. Yes, this is happening. I'm on the Instagram, and let me add the Artistic Estate Instagram. Yes, this is happening. I'm on the Instagram, let me add the Artistic Estate Instagram. Good, looks like we're there. Okay, and then there's one more thing that I need to do. Hold on. Because I haven't put yet this live stream on YouTube, from YouTube, on the website www.skytime.org. So now you can actually watch this with me live as I go along. This is what you normally see as a tech person, or that the tech people see, but this is what we normally don't see, don't really expect to see. But for people who do these things themselves, this is a possibility. Okay, I'm getting the embed code. This is how you can see that I am actually in the middle of the afternoon. Okay. So, without further ado, let me go on and share. Where am I? So the next thing I'm going to show is Merián Soto's Elaine in the Air and Me. It is a piece from 2017, so 2 years after Elaine passed away. And it was a collection of several works happening at the same time, which is very Judson, as we know. It is something that happened all the time at Judson, that people would have two or more things happen at the same time. Okay, without further ado, Merián Soto, Elaine in the Air and Me with Patty Bradshaw, Marion Ramirez, Noemi Segarra, and many other dancers. Have a wonderful time. I will stop my video and then start sharing. Good morning, everybody. It's 7:51 here in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands, 5:51 in Universal Coordinated Time, and I'm going to Bravo, Merián, Marion, Noemi, Patty, and everybody else. That was Elaine in the Air and me from 2017. A special tribute from Merián to Elaine Summers. If you want to know more about Merián Soto, her website is meriansoto.com, and she has written a number of articles, among others, one about how working with kinetic awareness was very important, which was part of her training with Elaine Summers. So it's a beautiful piece of writing and very moving and very important for our days, especially these days when we have so much that we wish to request, like, do I really need this particular way of being? Do I really need this particular way of being dealt with? Is there something else that is possible? These are all very important questions, and Merián is one of the many people who work on this. Thank you, Merián. Muchas gracias. So now we have 15 minutes. I will show you a film. Instead, let me first share. Stop this. And then get back to... Hold on, I'll be right there. Yes. What follows is a 15-minute, well, it's almost a commercial, really, called The Incredible Machine.
Okay, let's try again.
And it's 15 minutes.
It's complete. But will it work? At this stage, a remotely located master computer...
And it sounds a little bit like Odyssey 2001. The voice was probably inspiring HAL, the supercomputer. But that's not the part that I want to to emphasize here. What I want to emphasize is how this technology was used for expression and for communication at that time, which of course in 1968 was not the same as it is now in 2025. Elaine was very active in 1968. She produced Walking Dance for Any Number, which I did extensively this year, which is an intermedia work and a multimedia work consisting of 4 film dances of black and white, no sound, and a dance score for anyone from 2 to 10 people. And it is a score that basically anyone can do. But before I digress, let me get back into sharing that particular film, because I think it's something that is a good segue to our next item on the program.
We're at the beginning of a new wave of research. Our creative powers are being stretched. We're learning surprising things about how we sense the world around us. Exploring the mysteries of the spoken word.
Nice. Nice.
Noise, 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 noise.
It appears to us that the resistors should track very well with one another. So I think in the first go around here we should make all the resistors
let's
variable.
put this on and
See how
These men are design engineers at Bell Telephone Laboratories, the research and development part of the Bell system. They're about to engage a new breed of computer called Graphic 1 in a dialogue that will test the ingenuity of both men and machine. It's a new way of working out abstract problems in the age-old medium of drawings and designs, which explains why the technique is called computer graphics. Our researchers have an idea for a telephone filter circuit they want to try out, but they need a ready answer for the problem. If they do this, what will happen? They could spend many hours in the workshop building and testing the real thing. Instead, they'll draw their circuit directly on Graphic 1's cathode ray tube. The operator talks to the computer with an electronic light pen, which does a precise and easy job of assembling the symbolic parts of the design. Diodes, resistors, transformers, and all are automatically positioned by the pen, connecting them as it goes along.
I think the drawing will be much more readable if we place a 3-terminal device down in the lower right-hand corner.
You want to move this down over
Yes.
here?
Yes.
If they change their plan, that's no problem either. There's no need to memorize complex rules, for the computer signals the action when it's ready. If the researchers have done a good job of programming what they want the design to do, the computer is quick to point out any breakdown in their logic.
All done, Jim?
I think so.
No, you left out the number in this specification of the 2-port.
We left out the input impedance.
Right.
Let's make that 1 mega. Okay, let's try again.
The design is complete. But will it work? At this stage, a remotely located master computer takes over the job of calculating the performance curves of the circuit.
Okay, let's go. All right, already doing that. I think it looks good. We certainly don't have to worry about the amplifier we're using based on this.
On some of these letter things here, we're not doing it right. It's too gray. How much trouble is it to get that changed to some other color?
Just find the right place in the program, make the appropriate change, and we'll run the whole thing again. Let's make bug A go, what would you say, down 1 square and right 1 square. So you see what we'll get is the program going through these lines.
A consulting graphic artist and a Bell Laboratories scientist are collaborating on an idea for an experimental computer-made movie.
Come out of it,
Okay.
you know, and
Right,
this
yes,
idea
yes.
of you being able to program something so we know what it's supposed to do. And what I get a great deal of response out of is you don't know what it's exactly going to do in terms of images.
It's interesting to me that you say the unexpected things that happen.
Yeah.
Because in a sense, the computer has done exactly what you told it to do, right?
Their shooting script is an intricate set of instructions written in one of several programming languages available. This one is B-Flix, short for Bell Labs Flix. This is an excerpt from a B-Flix computer movie showing how the script, now a deck of punch cards with all the cues typed in, is fed into the computer, winding up as a reel of recorded tape.
Hey, Bernie? Yes, sir. Hi, I've got another B-Flix movie here on 2 reels. Can you possibly do it now?
Sure can.
Great.
No
That's the second half.
All right.
And this is the first one.
All right, fine. We'll run it right now. How do you want these run, Ken?
Please run it just halfway between F5.6 and F8. Leave it perfectly in focus.
Under computer control now, the taped information is converted into rapidly moving pictures made up of a fine mosaic of points of varying light intensity. A synchronized movie camera automatically photographs the fast-moving images as they are plotted and drawn on the face of a cathode ray tube.
to reach out to this technology. I want to incorporate this technology into my art and have the two mixed together. For instance, what spellbinds me as an idea is that I'll be able to sit someplace in a railroad station and write a movie, or maybe even pick up a telephone eventually and write a movie.
Besides creating unique visual effects, computer movies can be used to show phenomena we can't directly see. This film describes the motion of a communication satellite. By studying it, scientists can obtain new insight into the satellite's stabilizing system. Only a man orbiting alongside could observe it the same way. Experimenters in visual perception are using computers to create weird, random patterns that never occur in real life, to find out what and how people see when these patterns are shown to them. These patterns are curiously reminiscent of the pointillism of the 19th century artist Seurat, whose beautifully integrated paintings are formed by countless computer-like dots and dashes. The art of Seurat is an incredibly methodical technique that produced only a dozen or so paintings in his lifetime. Today, researchers are generating that many in a single day. The shape and texture of perceived objects are studies that look deep into the future of communications. When we learn to separate the relevant from irrelevant in visual information, we'll be on the way to sending three-dimensional color picture messages over ordinary telephone lines.
And then we found that when you get back far enough, not only do the small pictures disappear because you're not close enough to see them individually, and the big picture comes across, but if you get even further back, then the picture takes on a continuous tone quality, as though it were a photograph, rather than being a very crude, computer-generated, spatially quantized thing. One of the interesting things to me was that you can draw quite a distinguishable picture on just an 11 by 11 array of black spots and white spots.
The entire musical score accompanying this film was composed on a computer that can produce nearly endless variations of sounds.
We're interested in finding better ways of describing complicated sounds like speech. However, speech is still very complicated. Music is simpler, and some of the methods which we're using here to describe music in terms of a graphical function can also be used for speech, and we can find out a great deal by studying these simpler sounds.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too.
Programming the score is like composing for conventional musical instruments, except that notes are replaced by numbers. The computer converts these numbers into impulses that cause sound waves to come directly from a loudspeaker.
The carriage, but you look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two.
What actually happens when we hear sounds? We know that the membrane of the inner ear changes sound waves into audible sensations. But until recently, no one had seen the whole inner ear in action. When sound waves strike the membrane, it makes thousands of microscopic movements per second. Only by computer could they be calculated and for the first time pictorially described. It takes several minutes of this motion to draw the simple sound of yes. Since the model of the inner ear is being expressed mathematically, it can be pictured in different ways. In this 3D version, the membrane is given a spiral shape, recoiling as it receives shocks from simulated sound waves.
Now, aside from some of the standard problems of showing three-dimensional movies, when we showed these movies up in Boston, I think some of the people up there were quite interested and excited in what they saw. Yes, I suppose that as an educational tool, it's very good. It allows people to see things which only mathematicians could see before. And in fact, the people who seemed most interested were the medical doctors and people like audiologists.
Human speech, seemingly so simple, is a very complicated process no one fully understands.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep.
Those words were spoken by a digital computer, programmed to simulate a speaking machine. Much of what we know about voice and speech is stored in the computer's memory. From there, we can experiment with more advanced ideas in areas that are still unknown. Take stress. How do we always seem to know just which parts of spoken words to emphasize?
Ruth, let's try to synthesize that sentence.
Okay, do you want monotone pitch?
Let's hear it on monotone first.
Okay.
Scientists can only begin to explain how we speak. We stress words without thinking, giving them fine shadings of pitch and intensity.
I like my glossy black.
Let's see if we can change that stress on my.
How about on my and black? Would that be all right?
Fine, let's try it.
When phonetic symbols are fed to the synthesizer, it combines them into intelligible speech.
I like my glossy black. I like my glossy black.
Well, there's more inflection on it, but let's see if we can improve this. Why don't we look at the pitch curve now? I think I'll try to make the inflection on black a little bit stronger.
I like my glossy black.
Let's see if I can improve that.
I like my glossy black.
The art of computer graphics is only in its infancy. Yet it is already stimulating creative thought in far-out areas where research is likely to get complex and unwieldy. It offers not only the means to quicken the pace of discovery, but an ideal way of communicating what we may discover.
Deleted. So this was from 1968. Have you ever seen a computer with typewriting in it, that a typewriter has to go into it? That was the keyboard that they had at the time, at least many of them. I wanted to go on to talk about older technology and do a history turn. This is what Wikipedia says about websites that have been founded before 1995, when the internet became very well known in the US and elsewhere, and people started using email, and they started to do this on a wider scale. So it was no longer just hackers and nerds who would be specialists, but it became much more wider known. The World Wide Web Virtual Library, again, is a precursor, you could say, for what now is the Wayback Machine. And yesterday I demonstrated how the Wayback Machine takes samples from the internet. Actually, let me demonstrate this by showing you. There we go. Yesterday, I will show it again. So interestingly, the Wayback Machine also has some captures of Skytime, of the Skytime website. And here you can see that these captures go all the way back to 1999. I don't know if you already had your first website. My first website I started with in 2006, so 6 years later. And this was what it looked like. Let me go to the capture, the snapshot that they had. And here's the snapshot. Skytime, a year and a day. A worldwide celebration of the wonders of the sky in every media and with everyone everywhere. An exploration of the history, myths, culture, scientific triumphs and arts of the sky. It will illuminate the enormous possibilities and potential of our electronic skyways. This was 1996, and it was a long time, and it had many iterations until, let's say, well, when was this? 2015. Let's go to 2013 and what it looked like by then. There we are. Very different design, very different possibilities. It was still quiet. They didn't have any JavaScript on it, but it was possible to get there and to see what was there on the internet. And Elaine understood that the internet was a wonderful space where new things could happen, where new possibilities would open, especially to people who normally would not get these chances because the medium was new. So it hadn't been corporatized yet. It hadn't been make hold of yet. And one of Elaine's dreams was that she would sell all these things, all this collection stuff. And so basically you could say that she prefigured what a web shop could be like. So at the time when Amazon was still not there or was just getting to be known, you had all these trinkets, all these possibilities of things that you could buy online, basically, with your credit card. And with that, I could see how she brings up Fluxus, the Flux Kit, because the Flux Kit by George Maciunas and all the collaborators of George Maciunas for the Flux Kit also had this idea of selling artworks, like small artworks, for let's say $68 or prices that more or less people could afford in those days and that were collectibles. And so here, this was the beginning of something Elaine probably did not really foresee, but that things could be made somewhere and sold elsewhere. And here we go. So here's an album by Carmen Moore, celestial sky, sky stickers, sky totes, everything about the sky. And so there we are. Again, Elaine was right on time with everything. She saw and she understood and she developed. And we are her heirs. When Elaine refers to the electronic skyway, I would like to show you the actual artist who started it, and that's Namjoon Paik. So this piece is in the Smithsonian Museum, and hold on, let me first not start it right away, but let me do this properly. Let me first mute myself and take away my video, and then start. Here we go. Namjoon Paik, Electronic Superhighway.
Electronic Superhighway is one of the most popular and iconic works at our museum. Nam June Pak's a really fascinating artist, one of the most important figures of the 20th century. And in many ways, he represents sort of looking ahead to the 21st century, both in his biography and in the materials he uses and the themes he touches on. He was born in Korea, in Seoul, Korea in 1932. And with his family, he moved to Hong Kong and then Japan during the Korean War. And then he goes to study music, first in Japan and then in Germany. He gets a name for himself and he builds a community that's really strongly based in New York. And so he moves to New York in 1964. His whole life experience and all of these connections and communities, they span the globe, as does his work. He also is one of the first artists to really take technology seriously and to start using electronics and television sets and video in his art. The Smithsonian American Art Museum has a long relationship with Nam June Pak. In the 1990s, we collected a piece called Technology, and we also collected one of his most important works, a multi-screen wall piece called Megatron Matrix. Shortly after that, he had made Electronic Superhighway, which is actually particularly Electronic Superhighway US, Alaska, and Hawaii, because there are other electronic superhighways that he made. But so this one, which has the map of the United States, he rightly thought could have a very important place at the American Art Museum. And so it was actually a gift by the artist to the museum. It's monumental. It's massive. It includes 336 television sets, and when it was first installed, 50 DVD players, though we now use media players, 3,750 feet of cable, and about 575 feet of multicolored neon tubing. So that's a lot going on, but what it comes together to be is just this really exuberant, brightly lit picture of America as seen through television. What you see on the monitors that are inside the borders of any given state are basically what Nam June Pak associated with that state. And remember, he's a new arrival to the United States in the 1960s. He is based in New York for most of his life, so his associations range from really personal stories, friends he knew, acquaintances, people he worked with, to really pop culture references or very surface level or very kind of classic Americana ideas. For example, in Arkansas, he spliced together footage of his longtime friend and close collaborator, Charlotte Moorman, with then presidential couple Bill and Hillary Clinton. California is full of fitness classes and ones and zeros. So you get the fitness culture of the beach, California, along with the rising computer revolution that was happening in Silicon Valley. Then there are some more classic ones like Iowa, which is off where the presidential primaries start. So you have a montage of presidential figures. And then other states, he's taken whole segments of movie musicals. Wizard of Oz for Kansas, Meet Me in St. Louis for Missouri, and Oklahoma for Oklahoma. And then the final twist that he does is in the state where the piece is on view, which currently is the non-state of Washington, D.C., he places a camera that is a closed-circuit TV camera that loops back to play on a monitor there. So wherever you are standing, you are inside the map in the proper geographic location. And this creates a form of interactivity that can be really playful. When you first step into the gallery space with this work, it can be really overwhelming. All these screens, they all are moving, they're changing. The edits are really fast. You know, one of the analogies is that they're sort of fast, like speeding along a highway. But there's also a lot happening in the audio space. So where you have the movie musicals in particular, you might hear a bit of a show tune come up when it gets loud. So those are kind of background noises. And then there's also this segment that's the Montgomery bus boycott documentary. And that has sections with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X speaking. And that, interestingly, the artist noted should be the most audible soundtrack. I think that really interestingly intersects with the idea of the open road and this idea of the highway as a space that very often this piece is seen as sort of a glittering invitation to the kind of 50s idealized open road. And the fact that the artist wanted that audio to be legible no matter where you were standing really means that the visuals are always inflected by this questioning of sort of who can get on the road safely, who will get equal treatment on that road. And those are questions that stay really resonant and important to this day, unfortunately. One of the things I'm always struck by in looking at Nam June Paik's work is there's this first engagement that can be really self-evident. You think, oh, it's a big map of America made of TVs, I get it. But if you spend time with it and you let all of these layers unpack, you really come to recognize both his brilliance, how far ahead he's looking, but also the complexity that he's willing to sit with. He doesn't need to give you answers, doesn't need to say that this is good or bad, but that you should be thinking about these things and you should be attentive to them and aware that they're going to be part of how we shape our world, how we understand ourselves. And that doesn't go away. It just gets richer over time.
Well, there we go. So all these videos, by the way, are public online, so you can watch it anytime. If you want to see more about Nam June Paik, about his art, go check it out, especially if you can get a hold of Good Morning, Mr. Orwell. For now, because we talk about Paik, I would like to show you this book here, which is the catalog when Nam June Paik was at the Venice Biennale and he was part of the German pavilion because he was a professor in Germany for quite a while. So I wanted to show you this piece where he says, Bill Clinton stole my idea, because Bill Clinton took up the notion of the electronic highway in 1993, and Nam June Paik said, hey, wait a second, I said this already in 1974. So Bill Clinton, you owe me royalties, money, something, recognition. I said this already. Bill Clinton stole my idea. There we go, nothing new under the sun. And you could say that in a way, Elaine had a wonderful riffing echo of Nam June Paik, and it's possible since the two were, since the two were actually in the same loft, at the same part of the same co-op, it could be that they actually got to know each other, that they knew each other quite well. Nam June Paik once recorded Elaine Summers's energy changes on early video, or early Porter Paik video. So there we have it. Okay, let's see, how are we time-wise? Whoops. What else can I show here for today?
This is from Palladium.
Hold on.
This is from Palladium. You know Palladium nightclub?
Okay, hold on. This is going...
And then we go to party, we get high, and they have TV rotating on the stage. Everybody freaks out.
Okay. All right, that was not what we wanted, but never mind. So, where are we? We are here. It's almost 6 o'clock over here. In 2 hours from now, at 6 hours UTC, there will be a Taiji moment with Eva Karczag, Robert Chakro, and Marita Schwanke. So in Europe, that will be 8 o'clock for most of us. And anyhow, well, that's how things just go. Life happens. When you try to have your media center in the back seat, in the back room, suddenly people come and go. Never mind. So tonight at 8 o'clock my time, or 6 o'clock universal coordinated time, or at let's see, 12 noon no, not 12 noon, 2 p.m., 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will start a new live stream right here on the, for Skytime, and then we will be with Marita Schwanke, Robert Chokro, and Eva Karczag. Except for Marita, all of them work with Elaine Summers, and all have their very own way of working with Taiji, and I'm very looking forward to have the three of them there, plus input from Alexandra Augsbury, one of Elaine's star dancers. I look forward to this very much. For now, thank you for your attention and time, and look forward to talk to you and see you in 2 hours from now. Until soon, bye-bye.